this computer. Hey, Shane Rice, got Michael Pruis on the call as well. And did I say your last name right?
Really close. Preuss.
Preuss. All right.
Like
Michael
Rolls
Preuss.
Royce.
Yeah, I got you. I'm not going to forget now. Michael Preuss on the call. And so we're taking a look at some issues that we see with website traffic. Month over month, we see that visits to the homepage are down about almost 8%. Visits to the free trial page are down almost the same exact amount as far as a proportion. So 7.7% on free trial as well. So we see this waterfall effect where traffic not hitting the homepage is impacting further down the funnel and the conversions we see there. And so to kind of kick off the conversation, I wanted to look at this regionally to see if we can identify any regions where there's a drop off or if the drop off is global. So let me share my screen, and this is not news to Michael. I've already shared this with him, so I'm just sharing it for the video.
Don't
So
expect any gasps from my end.
yeah, no gaps, no, you're not going to clutch your pearls or anything. So when we look at Google Search Console, which is Google telling us outside of whatever you see in Google Analytics, here's what's happening with your website in Google search results. All right. So when we look at countries in Europe, there's no drop. Impressions are up, clicks are up considerable amount, click-through percentage is up a considerable amount. So there's no drop in numbers from what Google is telling us in the search engine. But when we look in Google Analytics, we see, so ignore where it says NORAM here. This is filtered to only include countries that are in our EMEA sales region. So if you look at that EMEA sales region, traffic, or this is new users, so I don't want to say traffic, new users have dropped over 200,000 new users this month compared to this same month last year. So we see a big drop. And part of this is due to GDPR and our Cookiebot implementation. So if someone, comes to our website, they click accept cookies, and then they come to our site, for a year, and then all of a sudden they come back and they get that, that new notice to accept those, the Cookiebot cookie notification, then they have an opportunity to decline that. Also, if they're a first-time visitor, if they decline that, what happens is they don't get forms. They don't get any part of our website that requires a cookie to be visible. And so this is a problem. And so also one of the things that we see, so the reason why clicks are up 52% is not that we're just growing magically this quickly in EMEA. What's happened is, so when you are signed into GitLab.com and you type in GitLab.com, it just takes you to your project homepage, like the root of the application. When you're signed out, it takes you and it sends you on a 302 redirect to about.gitlab.com. Users see that, they understand and click on sign in, and they're going to go have their experience. But a search engine, a crawler hits GitLab.com, gets a 302 redirect, a temporary redirect, and so they're thinking, okay, so this may or may not change. I'm just going to kind of hold this and see what happens with users. And so it sees users hitting about.gitlab.com and then clicking sign in. So it feels like, okay, so what I need to serve up is GitLab.com as a result, because that's where people want to go. They want to go to this, root domain, not the subdomain. And then over time, it tracks that, that activity and sees like, oh, enough people are staying on about when we redirect them, when they're redirected, that we need to serve about as the main domain result when somebody searches for GitLab. So there's a seesaw effect where for about 3-4 months at a time, Google sends people that search for GitLab, just the term GitLab, to GitLab.com, and then for 45 to 60 days, 75 days, they will send people to about.gitlab.com, and then they'll start sending people back to GitLab.com, and that creates a lot of havoc when it comes to our page views. It just creates a lot of confusion on, where we are caught, asking ourselves what happened, and we have to do investigation, and then remember that, oh, hey, now people are hitting this redirect and they're not hitting the homepage as often, or, whatever the flow is, there's that 302 that plays a part. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Michael, do you have any questions or anything you want to talk about related to this data?
I was just going to say that in addition to it being bad for our numbers and the objectives we're going after, from a customer point of view, that's very confusing. I'm putting the same URL in, and at different points of the year, I'm going to different parts of the site. And um, their view is they may think that we're doing that intentionally, and it doesn't make us look very confident or like we have our our stuff together. So of course it's bad for our numbers, and we want to drive those up. But it's all about the experience that builds that loyalty. So we're going to see there is high potential here for lifetime value impacts that we want to get out ahead of.
Yep, great. Totally agree. And so, looking at this and what we see, the top level numbers we see, we're proposing two changes. The first change is to remove the 302 redirect and make GitLab.com the sign-in page. So move what's on GitLab.com/sign_in, and just move that to GitLab.com, the root, so that when you hit that, you're asked to sign in if you're not already signed in. And then we also update that page to make it clearer, call out to marketing site and key places in the marketing site, with some additional copy, things like that we can use to really give people a clear signal of like, hey, if you're not a user, here's where you need to go to learn about GitLab. And then the second thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at how do we improve the GDPR experience for EMEA customers. We're in a position where we're looking at different ways to implement this. We're looking at different tools, and I think based on the numbers that we're seeing, this will probably speed up some of the decisions we need to make around: are we going to stick with the same vendor? Are we going to choose a different vendor? How are we going to implement this? Also, one of the things we need to consider is, we're not going to automatically see everybody start accepting cookies in EMEA. And so we need to look at forms across the website, and how do we make sure that somebody can access the form at any time, whether or not they've accepted cookies. Michael, do you have anything to add or anything you want to talk about on any of those points?
Nope, I think you covered it very well.
Okay. So at this point, Michael and I are going to be working on an overarching issue that talks about this drop. And then we're going to talk about each one of the work aspects and separate issues. And we'll be moving those forward individually with teams across GitLab. But I want to share what we're seeing at a top level from the marketing website, so that the reason why we're pushing these actions is really clearly understood based on the data that we're seeing. So if you have any questions, please hit up either one of us on Slack. We're more than happy to talk about all this. Thanks.
Thanks.